Coach, let's get started. John Hale, you got first.
I know you've talked a few times about having, backups on your schedule in case COVID stuff happens. How much flexibility is there in SEC play, though? Do you have to reserve spots for those games to be rescheduled, or can you just go ahead and reschedule them when it happens?
We're really trying to get ahead of that. Let's just say, this is my opinion, and I'll say this again, no one listens to my opinion. So let me start by telling you that. You're down 3 games, you're not making them up. And if there's 10 days or 7 days that you're not playing and you're not going to make up those games, we need to just replace them. Just these kids need to play games. And if both teams are healthy, the officials are healthy, play the ball game. And it may mean us adding a home and home for next year. It may mean, having a game here where we got to travel, or it may mean a neutral game with Gonzaga in Chicago or Dallas or somewhere. But we need to play games. And, my career has been any place, any team, any place, anytime. I mean, that's been who I've been. Now, when you have an arena that seats this many and you make as much as we make on home games, you got to play some home games that you're not returning so that you take care of tennis and all the other sports programs. But, it's a case now, this is different. And if this happens and there are a bunch, you're missing 2 or 3 games in a row, there's no space to make up those games. So let's play against who's ready to play. And like I said, I'm on the phones right now, just saying, let's keep this out there. Let's think about it, and so friends of mine in the profession, we're just talking it through so we can play games.
Kyle Tucker, we'll go to you, and then John Clay.
Yeah, Cal, I was wondering, you mentioned, and Ty reiterated that your team is obviously vaccinated and boosted now completely. What does that mean for you all's protocol? Do you not have to test anyone unless they are symptomatic now at this point?
That'll be the approach of this. But we have our whole staff the same, and there's mitigation things that we're trying to do. Like, we really literally don't want to be around the other sports teams. It's not disrespectful. It's not Title IX. It is about mitigating opportunities. If I go out, I've been to games, but I try to keep a mask on, whether anybody else does or not, keep a mask on. And I tell them, you got to mitigate. You're together, you're fine, but you got to mitigate other opportunities where you're mixing with people. But the kids have been great. I mean, I think, again, if it's important to me, it'll be important to them. I always say that. If they know something is really important to me, it'll be important to them. And we've made this for the last 2 years, like, look, this and mental health and all the other things, we haven't forgot about basketball, but we've tried to stay on this.
John Clay, and then Larry Vaught.
Their mental health, just to keep them engaged and playing and not have long layoffs where they don't have games.
Yeah, and that's what I believe, John. I think, and then the other thing is playing the best people out there, so that the challenge of not just playing a game, that we have North Carolina. Yeah, Ohio State didn't work, but it was North Carolina. And then Louisville didn't work, but it was Western Kentucky who just beat Louisville. So there was that challenge that really gets the juices going. And it also brings us together because we need each other, but again, playing games, I think for all these teams, I think all of us coaches are thinking in the same terms. How do we stay healthy? How do we mitigate what's out there? And then, all right, if stuff goes awry, what are you going to do? And I always say, you guys know how I am. It's all right. Where is this going? Reading tea leaves. What would happen? What would we do if this happens? How do we try to get ahead of this? How do we, again, 4 league games are canceled. All right, let's play 3 other games or 2 at least. And there's still room maybe to add a team or 2 from our league. Or maybe 2 teams in our league are healthy, then you guys play. Let's play it that way. But I think we've got to be nimble and flexible, and because we don't know where this is going.
Larry Vaught, go ahead, and John Long.
Hey, John, I was just wondering, going back to a basketball question, do you feel pretty comfortable with your rotation now? Have you got to the point you think you've got a set rotation that you're going to be able to roll with for the rest of the season?
No, I don't. And I think we're one of those teams, like, without Lance in the North Carolina game in that first half, we're probably down and maybe it's a different game. So Lance has a role, but there are times we want to throw a guy in that's going to get lobs and dunks and blocks. Well, that wouldn't be Lance. So maybe it's Damian. I would say there are times that we're trying to bring Bryce along so he could be that car crash, so he can get to the free throw line. Give us one more physical body out there. But I told Dante yesterday, be ready for your chance. I can't tell you when and where it's coming, but you've got to prove that you deserve to play more. Well, just play him 30 minutes and it doesn't work that way. Here's where you are on this team. Be an all-star in your role. Be an all-star. You can't, like I talked to the guys, you don't need 30 minutes to prove who you are. This 30 minutes. Well, I think we had a team a little ways back that no one played more than 20 minutes, 21 minutes. And 6 of them were drafted. 1 was the number 1 pick. So that's ego high school. You come here, you prove, you learn to fight, number 1. You learn to fight in practice because you got to survive, and in games where it's everybody's Super Bowl. You learn to fight. That's what I think is carried over to the guys who have had success after they've left here. Some didn't have as much success here and are having more later. One of them being Michael Mulder. Think about who he played against every day. He learned to fight. He was athletic. He didn't get a chance to the level, but you know what? Cream always rises. If you learn to fight, you learn to battle, take what you want. If you have to be promised everything, we're going to do this and we're going to run this, everything's going to be to you. Those kids don't come here anyway. They just don't. It's an easier run. And I've told the guys, there's no easy way to what you're trying to do or what we're trying to do as a team. What is your role? What do you have to do? I think one of the best things we've done is we have a sprint coordinator. And you say, well, what is a sprint coordinator? Well, at the end of every game, he evaluates every sprint, an opportunity from defense to offense or even offense to defense. How many times did he sprint when he had an opportunity as an A, a B, or C, or a D? It's graded. And the guys, this is crazy, with the best numbers in the sprints per game are the best players on our team right now. So I would tell you, if you're not playing to the level you want to play, sprint, just sprint, because the guys that are sprinting are playing the best for us. Well, can I do it another way? Because that's really hard. I don't like sprinting every time. And so that, I think, has been the best thing that we've added to what we do, is we have a sprint coordinator.
John Long, go ahead, and John Clay.
Hey, John, I didn't know if we'd get a chance to talk to you before Friday, but you've got Tubby coming in to get his jersey retired to the rafters. I assume that you would like to be up there with him one of these days, but you're both Hall of Fame coaches. What is so unique and special about looking up in the rafters of Rupp and seeing your jersey up there?
I'm hoping we just win another game, so I'm not worried about jerseys right now. But here's the thing, and I wanted this for Coach Hall. And I want it for Tubby. I want guys that were here in this seat, which is a really tough place to be. I love it, but it's not the easiest place to be. that they are loved by our fans. And it doesn't matter how anybody tries to portray them or move the fans. They're not moving that way. You could try to move them, but they're not moving. At the end of the day, they appreciate what Tubby did for this program. Won 27 games a year, 27 games a year, Final Fours, national title, a class act, and they appreciate it. And so this honor for him, like I wish it would have been done before. But I remember when we got Coach Hall to step on the court and do the Y the first time, I think it was in my first year. I think everybody then understood this. The ovation he got was bigger than any ovation that they could have given to a player or a coach, that it was Coach Joe B. Hall. And so, you know, I think Tubby's in the same thing. I mean, you're talking a guy that did so much for this program and did it right, won at a high level. But I'm happy for him.
John Clay, you got next?
Ryan, heading into SEC play, I think 5 teams and 5 of the top 20, well, 5 of the top 18 are SEC teams in the AP poll. Is the league about as strong as you've seen it?
Yeah, you know, the goal always was, let's get 7 or 8 teams in the NCAA tournament, John, when we were getting what, 3? And how do we do this? Well, part of it was the investment each school made in their basketball program, and they did. So I always say this: coaches win basketball games, administrations win championships. And again, if you want to stay the gold standard, even us, you got to go through your facilities and say, where are we stacking up against the best and what they've done? Because, you know, for us, everybody looked at what we were doing and said, let's do better. Just what it was. I can't tell you how many people looked at our practice facility, look at the Lodge, and said, well, we're going to do better. And so for us, again, administrations win championships. And so for this league, administrations can pick up programs. Coaches will help them win games, but we got terrific coaches. The recruiting has gone to another level. And normally it was just Kentucky. Well, they got 7 of the top whatever, and yeah, 5 were coming here. Now that's not the case. Now all of a sudden it's 10, 12, 15 kids that are in the top coming to this league. So you got administrations that are committed. You got coaches that can really coach, recruiting, which is added to having really good players, which is showing in the draft. I mean, we get, you know, you look at what's happening here in this league. It's really special.
As we got time for a couple more, go to Kyle and then John.
Cal, these are 2 separate thoughts, but does anyone anywhere apply to Indiana at the moment if that situation arose? And also, is Brad the sprint coordinator?
Okay, who would be the worst sprinter on the staff?
You.
No, I could outrun Brad. Now, if it were a bear chasing us, I'd just look at Brad and say, all I got to do is outrun you, because I'm not outrunning anybody else. Whoever the worst sprinter is became the sprint coordinator. So yes, it is Brad. What was the other question you asked, John?
Does anyone anywhere in this sort of scheduling, having people ready, would that apply to Indiana if that situation arose? Would you go home and home with that?
That could be a possibility. Again, you know, we'd have to look at both things and where we would play it. You know, I'm still, I mean, you know, when we had a chance, Indiana, to be in the CBS Classic, they chose not to. That we had a chance of playing in Indianapolis, they chose not to. So when you're doing this scheduling, you do it within 16, 20 hours. There's not like, okay, let's negotiate. There is nothing. Here's the game. Are we playing or not? Bang, we don't play, next. Here we go. So Mike's done a great job too, by the way. I mean, Indiana's playing great basketball. They're doing good stuff.
John, go ahead, and then we'll get a question from Missouri from Dave.
Cal, it seems like maybe even more than last year because the schedule wasn't built for this. Teams are going to get to Selection Sunday with vastly different number of games played. How do you think the committee should handle all this in terms of evaluation for seeding and all that?
You know, I haven't spent any time thinking about it, and I'd let those guys. I'm spending most of my time trying to get my team better, but they'll figure it out, and we'll have a tournament. We know the extreme would be a bubble. Extreme. I'm hoping it's not that. But my concern right now is my players, our program, that we're getting better, that we're mitigating, that we're safe. We're not getting anybody else sick, not just worried about us. I'm worried about, do we get it and give it to somebody else? So we're doing all the things that we got to do. Looking ahead schedule wise, the league would have to cooperate for us to add games. They'd have to cooperate and say, okay, I see what you're saying. There's not going to be dates, you know, and we play more games. So look, here's what I was saying the other night. Do you remember when we played 16 games? You guys remember? There was 2 added home and homes in there now. And when they added 18, it took away 2 home and homes. Now we still have our couple home and homes. We have the challenge. We have the Champions Classic. We have the CBS Classic. We'll usually play, but that's when you had the room to schedule all these other people. So that's why I'm saying if we drop 2 games because of whatever, let's go back to adding what we added. I always thought the league should stay at 16 anyway. You know, give us flexibility to go schedule what we wanted to. Now the league is better. I get it. It's fine. But, you know, again, my concern is Kentucky.
We'll finish off with Dave Matter from the St. Louis Dispatch.
Hey, John, just wanted to get your thoughts, impressions on Missouri. Obviously, they won't have Konzo tomorrow night, but what have you seen from them so far?
Well, first of all, when I heard Konzo and I talked yesterday, because I wanted to make sure he was okay, and he sounded good. So, this thing is, gets you asymptomatic. You have nothing, and all of a sudden you get tested and you have it. So, from what he and I talked about, he's going to be fine. Their team always plays hard, plays physical. They rebound. They're plus in the rebound column. They shoot the ball to go get rebounds. They drive it. They're physically playing through bumps. It's the kind of team that gives us trouble. So it's going to be a hard game for us. But again, it's another game that we learn, okay, when a team plays physical, when a team plays really hard and doesn't give you an inch, how do you play now? They collapse on defense. So it's not going to be easy just to throw it to Oscar. They collapse. You're going to have to make some jump shots. The teams that gave Missouri trouble made jump shots. They made 12, 14, 15 threes. Those are the teams they struggled against.
All right, guys, we'll end it there. We'll have the transcripts later this afternoon and get your game notes and game documents later today. Thank you.